Most CS2 players want to improve, but they focus on all the wrong things. These are 10 simple and effective tips that will help you go from noob to pro way faster than grinding 300 hours of deathmatch will. Let's jump straight into it. You'll always want to have your crosshair at head height and be prepared for any fight that you could get into. Having your crosshair pre-aimed at head level will save you those few extra milliseconds from having to readjust if you're not already. While pre-aiming at head level is one part about pre-aim, pre-aiming into angles that enemies can be playing is one of the bigger parts. My best recommendation for pre-aiming into angles is try to visualize the enemy at that angle before you even swing. This is part of what makes pros so consistent. Their crosshair is always in the right spot. Tip number 2 I have for you is that movement is literally one of the most important parts of this game. And no, I wasn't talking about all that fancy movement right there like that. In tip number 1, I discussed having good pre-aim, and having good movement is one of the direct fundamentals of pre-aiming. Being able to swing out into an enemy and counter strafe to stop on a dime and one tap them in the head is one of the most basic fundamentals of CS that you will need to understand to improve. Another part of this goes into learning when to crouch and when not to crouch during gunfights. In CSGO, I remember it was told that crouching was very bad and you should almost never crouch during gunfights, but CS2 that is not the case, especially with movement techniques like the donk slide coming out. My rule of thumb that I would say to follow is during close range engagements, you can crouch because crouching will actually displace your head height from their crosshair. But during long range fights, try not to crouch as this will just make you move very slowly if you ever want to run away, and it doesn't really displace your head from their crosshair all that much. If you think you have inconsistent aim, it's probably because you have inconsistent movement. Now, tip number 3 is probably not going to apply to everybody except for those of you who are very, very new to this game still, and that is stop running and shooting. There are certain situations where you should be running and shooting, like with SMGs and shotguns, obviously you can do it. With the AK-47, sometimes you'll just see that one guy on your team and you're like, what the fuck is this guy doing with that AK? And that's okay, everybody has to start somewhere, so do not flame any new players. New player experience already fucking sucks enough in this game. Some tips I would have if you do look like this is hop into a deathmatch and literally just practice aiming at people and not shooting at all. You'll realize really quickly that you have a lot of time to put your crosshair on people's head before they even can get a good shot off on you. You can also add in moving back and forth and getting used to movement during aim duels while you're doing this as well. One final tip I can give you that can help out with shooting on your counter strafes a little bit is go into a practice server and open up your console. In your console, type in the command sv_show impacts 1 just like this. That'll make it where every time you shoot, dots show up. Now I want you to practice just going back and forth and practicing shooting every time you counter strafe perfectly and trying to make sure your shots land on the dot each time. Tip number 4 is sound awareness. In CS2, sound cues are insanely important. They give away positioning before you can even see the enemy. A notable list of things that are all audio cues to surrounding players are footsteps while running, jumping, scoping in with sniper rifles, pulling grenade pins, reloading weapons, climbing on ladders, and dropping guns. One thing I actually didn't learn until recently is that whenever you make audio cues, they actually appear on your map. So there's a white circle as you're running, and this shows how far your footsteps can be heard. This is really good to let you know if somebody can hear you or not, and whether or not you know you need to walk or run from a certain area. And finally, if you ever make noise after being quiet, like opening the door from squeaky, you cannot just keep slow walking afterwards. You see new players do this all the time, and this accomplishes nothing. Everybody already knows where you are after you open that door, so start running around, get out there, and try to take some space. My tip number 5 is that utility can win rounds just as easily as raw aim and skill can. You don't need to know 20 smokes and 10 mollies like pro players, you just need to know a few basic ones that are essential for the most played maps in this game. In the background I already showed off a couple smokes, you can pause the video and rewind it if you want to see them again. One very useful flash that you're going to see a lot is the A long flash. You're gonna stand around this corner, it's not too specific, and you're gonna look up at this wall. I aim at this wall right here underneath the palm tree and do just left click jump throws. These are blinding almost every position on long. Another simple and useful smoke I can teach you is right here in T-spawn. You can come and line yourself up along this little line right here. I normally crouch into it, and then I'll uncrouch and aim for this marking on the wall right here. Pull out a smoke and just do a regular left click jump throw. This will land perfectly blocking this top part here, so you're still able to get up to cat. There'll still be a few gaps in the smoke, but it's pretty insignificant for the most part. It's still a good enough smoke. Now, it's not all that important what smokes and flashes and pieces of utilities you know for what maps. I would just say to at least learn a couple. If every player on your team knows one smoke and one flash for the map you're playing, you'll win way more rounds than just 5 people trying to run out and dry swing into everything. Now, tip number 6 I'm going to give you is to not take dumb fights. This realistically is going to be the biggest thing you can do to improve, and playing smarter is the best way you can improve quickly in this game. This is something that's mostly going to come with experience, but there are a few simple ones that even players in my 20k elo games don't understand. First dumb gunfight. As the ramp player on Nuke, ramp is not a bomb site. You can run away. B is the bomb site. You can run away. You can go to this corner. You can go to control. You can hide in this corner. You can get behind the silo. You can hide behind the boxes. You can hide on top of the rafters in the silo. You can hide in a lot of different places down here. So if you need to escape from B, just jump down here, tell your teammates, hey, I'm giving up ramp, they could wrap heaven, and start controlling from down B, the actual bomb site that needs to be defended. And another prime example is every player in every Inferno game of ever, including myself. I'm a pretty bad culprit about this. The A bomb site is all the way back here. You can block off so many lanes with pieces of utility like this. You can throw mollies, you can throw smokes, you can waste so much time on this map, which is what Inferno is made for. Yet somehow every single round devolves into dying for space, like out here in mid or in second mid. Just fighting and dying for space that doesn't even really matter, especially at the start of the round when there's still a minute and a half left on the clock. I can't show you every example of dumb fights you can take, but some of the more stereotypical examples of just going out and playing dumb or dry swinging into ops. If you know there's an op somewhere, go the other way, avoid the op if you can. Or one of the cardinal sins of Counter-Strike, which is repeaking the same angle over and over again, but everybody does this. When you're new to learning a map, try to learn one position at a time and not all 5. What I'm saying is every single match at the start of the game, you should be calling, hey guys, I want to play window on Mirage, or hey guys, I'm going to play the B anchor. This should get you comfortable and used to how you should approach gunfights in certain areas of the map, which you should get used to before moving on and learning other parts of the map. One of the best and quickest ways you can try to learn a position is by watching a pro's demo of how they play the position. This util set I actually learned from a Mongols player, the B anchor. I think Mazzinho, I'm not sure exactly though about that. You can use this if you want to take deep kitchen control at the start of each round, or deep apps control if you're an EU player, I guess. I don't know what it's called in EU, to be honest. First thing to do is do a deep apps molly here. I like to line up and come to this area here and aim at about this part of the windowsill here and just do a little forward W run throw. This will land all the way out here, and if you're quick enough, nobody should get past this molly, or they'll make noise, or they'll have to smoke it. After I throw the molly, I'll come over here, do a jump spot as I'm running, get to this corner, look up, and the way I line this up is I go to this little white part here of the paint, go directly up till about right here where I'm about from this line here. So, and then I'll just do a regular left click release throw. This will land back here, blocking deep kitchen. Now, I'm going to try to do this all in one motion because I also normally do a flash with it as well. So, look like this. You got to be a bit quick with this movement here, so. And then I'll do a right-click flash like this. And then I'll entry off this. And then once I've taken all this deep kitchen control, I can choose to play on top of this lamp sill here. I can choose to play on this kitchen top here. So, These are the type of tips and tricks, though, that you won't be able to know unless you start playing a position over and over again or watching pros demos on how to play that position and actually putting it into use in your own games to remember how to play them. Tip number 8 that I'm going to give you is to stop messing around and changing your settings constantly. Don't try to copy what settings the pros are using and thinking it's going to make you play like them or play any better, or don't think you need to change your sense every other week. Now, I've heard the opinion that muscle memory is a myth when it comes to mouse aiming, and that's why changing sensitivities can be so good, because being able to learn to adapt to different sensitivities can give you a better general ability to control your mouse. Which, while I do believe can be true in a certain extent, CS isn't very much of an aiming game with the mouse. CS is maybe 5% aim with the mouse and 95% pre-aim and movement. This is just the start of settings. I know a lot of other people like to change their resolutions and their crosshairs. I don't think changing your crosshair is all that bad. Sometimes it's nice to change things up. Resolution, kind of similar, but still you're changing things that you should want to keep the same so you get used to them over time. That's just my general opinion, though. I don't think you should be worrying about changing settings too much. Hell, I've used the same model of mice for 10 plus years. I've played 16:9 for 10 plus years, and throughout those 10 plus years, I've only changed my sensitivity maybe 3 times, and for the most part, it was just lowering it because I thought it was too high over time. Lowering your sensitivity if it's too high is one of the few things I think is reasonable. You can go to Google and look up the average pro EDPI and compare it to your own and see if you need to lower your sense or not. But other than that, I wouldn't be too bothered with worrying about changing your settings very often. Play with what you have. There are some pros that play with absolutely absurd settings. Tip number 9 I'm going to give you is emotional control. A lot of players love to ignore this facet of CS, but your mental affects your aim far more than you understand in this game. You get tilted, you start being lazy swinging around corners, your movement's bad during that swing, your aim's gonna be bad. Maybe you insta-die during pistol round, and the second round you force buy solo because you're tilted now and nobody else on your team is buying, and then you continue to force buy over and over again. Or maybe you just got too impatient waiting behind that smoke and decided to walk through it and got one tapped the second you made it to the other side. I'm not a mental coach or a psychologist, but I can tell you mental plays a huge role in the way CS is played. Plenty of times I've seen somebody start an argument round 1 that ended in the entire team just hating each other by round 2, and the game was over by then. Nobody wanted to win. 2 rounds into the game, and the rest of the rounds were a waste of fucking time. As somebody who plays mostly solo queue myself, my biggest tip when it comes to keeping a good mental is to remember the mute button exists. You can always right click on the scoreboard and hit this button to disable all voice comms. If there's somebody on the team that's fucking just being disrespectful or an asshole to you for 0 reason, just open the scoreboard and instantly fucking mute them. If they're a dick or saying it's GG or whatever from round 2 or 3 into the game, just mute them. It doesn't matter if they're gonna give info. I always just try to say, yo team, let's mute this guy and we can still play to win. Can't remember where I heard the quote from, but I heard somebody say, pro players don't play perfectly, pro players play calmly. And that's exactly what you need to do. Always just try to stay calm in every situation and don't try to get emotional and negative and pop off on anybody. If you lose a round, always think what you could have done better. Me personally, more than half the times I clip something are because I died and I want to see how I died so that I can figure out what I need to do differently so I don't die like that again. If you don't have some type of recording program like Shadow Play built into your NVIDIA GPU or Metal TV, whatever you want to get, any of them that you can just click a button and save the last minute or whatever you've done, get one and save back the times you die where you're like, bro, what the? So you can watch back and learn what you should have done differently. Finally, for number 10, I think every player should have some type of like warm-up routine. Even if you don't use it very often, some days you get on and it feels like you're in a dry spell. I don't really warm up very often, but I still have a warm-up routine that I use whenever I feel like I'm having an off day. Everybody's warm-up routine is going to be a little bit different. This is the one I found that's best for me. I'll leave this map in the description. This map is called 5E Aim Hub or something like that, I think. So the first thing that I do when I play this map is I get to this wall. I don't know exactly what it's called, but it's sort of like Tile Frenzy if you ever played that in Aim Labs. I don't move around, I just use this to make sure my mouse movements are warm. Just sit here and tap, clicking between the dots. I'll normally play this like 2 or 3 times to make sure my hands are warm. If you check this map out for yourself, this board, you can shoot it, it's how you move around. Next, I come to this little bot pad, and I'll just sit here and just do actual counter strafes, practicing how you would in any other aimbots map like this. I don't have a set amount that I'll kill on these guys, I'll just kill them until I start feeling warm enough. Sometimes I'll even go through and use guns like the M4A1S, M4A4, FAMAS, and Galil, maybe even some of the pistols. Once I feel warm enough for that, I'll go to this peak training. It's one of my favorite parts. Pad is how you activate this bot spawns each time, but basically just practice swinging into a target. Kind of washed right now, I haven't played at all today, I've just been editing. And then after I'm done with this, very rarely I'll come over here and I'll do this hold training here. I'll close the wall a little bit from how big it is, and I'll practice right here, swing back and forth, listening to the audio. So I hear the guy to the left here. Practice like this. This is more realistic to how you'd fight in a game. You're trying to catch people with your swings, so I like doing this. But I don't do this every time I warm up. If you're truly serious on improving as well, I'd recommend adding in some deathmatch or maybe even retakes into your warm-up routine. And then if you're even want to get more advanced about it, go into doing something like refrag scenarios. I don't know anything about it. I've never paid for a subscription service like that in CS. May not like it, but practice is the best way towards getting consistency in this game. If you want to get good at it, you're going to have to practice a lot and do a lot of tedious things that you may not like doing. Shit. I saw a fucking video or picture earlier today. I think it was Tanir in a deathmatch server. He had like 4,500 kills. Bro would be in the DM server for fucking an 8-hour shift, I guess, because that is absolutely ridiculous. And that's 10 easy tips to go from noob to pro in CS2. If you want a part 2 with some more intermediate tips, let me know in the comments down below, and also tell me what rank you're currently stuck in. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe, it really helps me out. And I'll catch y'all next video.